Hi guys, this is teacher Ricky of Trimex Colleges and we are in our series on how to appreciate art. This channel is for anyone and everyone who wants to learn about art. We will give you tools, break it down, so that you could appreciate and learn all forms of art. Now, let me introduce to you one of my favorite painters, Vincent Van Gogh. Now, Vincent Van Gogh was born in 1853 in Holland. He was born in a poor family and his father was a pastor. He also thought he was going to be a pastor, so he even studied for it. Unfortunately, he did not do a good job out of it. So he did a lot of odd jobs and that too did not also work out. Vincent Van Gogh was a self-taught artist. In 1886, he decided to move to Paris with his brother, who was working in an art gallery. Now there he met the great impressionist artists like Monet and Paul Gauguin. And he was greatly influenced by them. In 1888, he decided to move to the south of France, where he studied painting. He never really sold a lot of his paintings and was quite poor. So poor that he was malnourished. He depended on his brother who was working in Paris, and this kind of led to his mental state. Now in 1889, he was put in a mental institution where he did the bulk of his work. He never married, he never had children, and unfortunately, in 1890, Vincent Van Gogh was found dead in a field. Now, there are stories wherein it is said that he killed himself, and there are other stories that someone shot him accidentally. We'll never know. Now, today we'll visit his museum that his nephew built for him in 1975. We're taking a trip to the Netherlands. Fortunately, we do not have to travel all the way to Amsterdam. We'll be using the app Google Arts and Culture, and together we will look at the works of Vincent Van Gogh. We will be taking a virtual tour. We'll also be using what we learned last vlog, which is artful thinking. Seeing, we'll be thinking and be wondering. Now let's go and meet Vincent Van Gogh. Okay guys, so let's try to enter the museum. We will go through the 4 levels and we will discuss some of the paintings, but in passing. So I hope and encourage you guys to download the app, which is called Art and Culture, Google app, Art and Culture. So this is the first level and we are met with a mural of Van Gogh, and this particular exhibit is called Face to Face with Van Gogh. Now you could pause the video and read the inscription on the wall to find out what it's saying. So part of it is Dutch and our right side is English. So we'll be seeing portraits of Van Gogh, self-portraits and portraits. So we will be looking at his earlier works as well as his later works, which you could see the transition from he was still influenced by the romantic form of art to a more pronounced impressionistic form where texture and color is more vibrant. Like here, this is a self-portrait of Van Gogh with his red mustache and green eyes. So I think this is an earlier work, yes, 1887. Now this is 1887. 1887 also. A self-portrait with a straw hat. So he has green eyes, and he starts using that technique that he has on the background. Now I could see that the colors that he used is a bit muted, not as vibrant. So this portrait, there's a lot of texture, especially at the background. So the foreground or his face jumps out compared to the background. This is another portrait. So it's more of the background that he's trying to stress, emphasize. And his skin's so smooth here. And the shirt and the jacket that he's wearing. This is quite a good portrait of him. He really likes wearing straw hats and smoking a cigar. Now the thing that jumped out was his hat. The texture of the hat. He was trying to really emphasize his hat here. Okay, 1887. So this is more of a pale Van Gogh. Okay, this is the timeline and the map of France. So on top would be Paris, where he stayed with his brother, and the south is where he moved. So he was born in 1853. His father and mother. His brother. Says here, worked as a lay preacher among miners, and decides at age 27 to be a painter. It says here 1885, studied for a brief period at an art academy. So he took art lessons too. And in 1886, 1888, he went to Paris with his brother to study and got influence with Impressionist artists like Paul, Gauguin, and Monet. Now let's go to the next floor. As I told you, Van Gogh is a self-taught artist, but he did go to school to pursue his love for art. Now here we see his themes are farmers. So this must be taken either early morning or late afternoon. I think this is still his early works. Maybe 1885 or 1885. He still hasn't met the Impressionist artist here. Okay, so there's this inscription on the wall. Guys, you could pause the play button so that you could read the inscription. It says Painters for Peasant Life. So he wrote to his brother and said, I desire nothing more than to live deep in the country and to paint peasant life. So more than the potato eaters wanted to okay, yeah, I remember the potato eaters. Now this is a portrait of farmers. So he really used different kinds of color, not the regular beige. It's more of greenish. So this is a famous painting of Van Gogh called The Potato Eaters. So it depicts a family eating dinner after work. So you see the father, the mother, maybe the grandparents, and a daughter. And the daughter's back is turned. So they were drinking tea. So this was done in 1885. So let's look at another exhibit. So it says, keen to the latest artistic development. Van Gogh moved to Paris, this is the time where he met the Impressionist artists and was influenced greatly by them. But still, he already had some skill in painting and was not so far off with the Impressionist. This is one of his most famous self-portraits. Now, if you notice, there's more texture in his face compared to the paintings that we saw downstairs. This was made this is another painting, famous painting called Sunflowers. So it's more, the texture is on 1889. The texture was, he emphasized on the petals of the sunflowers. So the colors are complementary except for one red flower there. Okay, now this kind of looks Japanese. 1887. Very Japanese. Even the calligraphy on the side. Okay, so Van Gogh was much inspired from the hundreds of Japanese woodblock prints that he collected together with his brother Theo. I see. It shows that yes, Japanese art did influence him too. Okay, this is an armchair by of Paul Gauguin. Now, Van Gogh and Paul Gauguin moved to the south of France together to be painters. Gauguin is another famous Impressionist painter of his time. And in the last vlog, we talked about Monet and how the Impressionist artists would paint landscapes, everyday life, in contrast with the Romantic artists that would paint history, religion, and realistic paintings. Now, this was painted in 1889. Now, another painting of peasants working. So he did really like that theme of farmers, peasants in the fields. So the texture that he used, this is a farmer cutting hay. And then another landscape. Now this is quite different because he used a lot of orange compared to the green and yellow themes that he would be always seen with his other paintings. So again, impressionistic art you would really feel how Van Gogh would depict his impression on nature. It's not a realistic interpretation of a painting, but an impression. This is another famous painting of Van Gogh. So you have the farm, and it's quite, if you notice, it's not as polished, if you would say, but that's his technique. Okay, now this is a colorful painting of Van Gogh. You see the combination of red, green, orange, and brown. He starts using a lot of orange and red here. Now back to his green and yellow. So the technique that Van Gogh developed on his own, he developed this when he moved away from Paris, away from the Impressionist masters, and created his own style, which is quite unique. Now this is a field. This is one of his last paintings. If you look closely, you would not be able to see what he was really painting. You have to appreciate his painting from afar to see a good view of what he was trying to say. Yes, 1890, one of his last paintings before he died. Now guys, if you like this video, please hit that like button. Now, if you have any comments for me to tackle, anything about art appreciation, please type in the comment section below. Now, share this video if you have friends who you think can benefit from this series. Now, I hope that you are enjoying this series on art appreciation and you're learning a lot. Now, I hope to see you in our next vlog. Bye! Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.